In the light novel Grimgar Fantasy and Ash by Aojumonji, Haruhiro awakens with multiple other people in a fantasy-like world, and they quickly find out they all have amnesia. The only thing that they are able to remember from their past is their names, and after finding civilization that looks nothing like what they would think to be normal, if they even remember what normal is, and learning the strange world they are in is called Grimgar, they are thrown into a job of being volunteer soldiers. Haruhiro finds himself in a group of 6, all questioning their origins and growing bonds along the way, learning that life and survival are two very different things. This book gradually shows how people are forced to adapt when put in hard situations. Have us humans forgotten how to survive? Has our thriving distracted us from our roots? The wild seems so incredibly scary when something like your life is on the line. Jumonji incredibly develops the theme and characters and has hooked thousands of readers across the globe. Even though Haruhiro is relatively plain and boring, that just makes him even more relatable as the protagonist. You can feel his hopelessness near the beginning, you can feel when he gets hurt, and you can feel when he embarrasses himself in front of all of his teammates. "We volunteer soldiers," Breachum began, bringing his hands together and wiggling the tips of his fingers. "Though we cooperate with the main force, we very rarely engage in organized operations. We use our own individual skills and judgment to gather intel and strike the enemy. That is the way Volunteer Soldier Corps Red Moon works." "And?" Renji asked, flexing the fingers of his right hand. "What happens if I turn down your offer?" "Nothing really. You know?" Volunteer soldier trainees were given 10 silver for joining, and 8 of that silver was earmarked for joining a guild. So in the end, trainees only had 2 silver to spend freely. Even then, freely only meant so much. Once the 7 days of introductory lessons and the room and board that came with them ended, they had to deal with the daily costs of living. If they were frugal, they could feed themselves on 10 copper a day, but unless they felt like roughing it, they were going to have to find rooms to rent. Who were the people he knew? Acquaintances, friends, but just exactly who were they? Strange, he couldn't think of anyone. No, it was more like whenever he tried to work backwards from the faces that did come to mind, they would suddenly vanish. He didn't know. It didn't just happen with friends, family too. It wasn't that he didn't know them all, it was more that he ought to have known them, but he was forgetting. The more he tried to remember, the less he felt like he knew.